Yeah, Friday is here, motherfuckers. It is time to start your weekend. Yes, this morning it all begins. How exciting. I've got the lovely Simphiwe here, who's looking glorious and ready to take on the weekend. A kind of a long weekend.
Yes.
It is kind of a long weekend.
I'm happy about that.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Tuesday's a holiday, and Monday, of course, is the national shutdown. So, some people will be taking an extra day. I believe the schools are closed anyway on Monday. So, well, some.
It's very nice.
All right. I said to Simphiwe just now, you know that song that we play before this, where we start the countdown for the show? Mm-hmm. That thing is like my. You know how people's alarm clock triggers them? Mm-hmm. Like immediately they go, oh no, when they hear their alarm clock, they go, oh, for God's sake, what is this? And it pops up. If it's their ringtone as well, it like every time their phone rings, they So when I hear that fucking music from before the show starts, mm-hmm. Sometimes it appears out of nowhere in my head at like 11:30 at night. And I'm like, oh no.
You're like, it's time for the show.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I'm not ready, and I don't know what's going on, and oh Jesus. Anyway, we're here, we're live, we're ready to go. It is Friday, so I'm going to start with something motivational today because I think people need it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I put this thing up on Instagram this morning because I don't really use any of the other social media. I mean, I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Twitter anymore. Mm-hmm. So this is the only place I talk, and I've got, 100,000 odd people who are listening there. And I've said this morning I want them to share it with everyone, even the people who don't follow me, because I don't want any credit for it. I just want people to get this message.
Okay.
So here's the message, all right? I know it's demoralizing to wake up without power, maybe without water, to hear about stupid shutdowns, which only make things worse, and put on your work clothes and go to your job. Mm-hmm. I know some days that you just want to give up. Keep going. Your family need you. Your friends need you. We all need you. You're one of the important pieces of the economy that keeps things moving. Do not give up. In a healthy, functional society, you wouldn't have to hear this from me. In a healthy, functional society, things would work and politicians would give you a better vision of the future. But these are challenging times, and strong people are required to make up for a society led by weak and incompetent ones. One day, you will see that that all of this contributed to your success and character. Go to work today and be twice as productive as everyone else. You don't need the vast majority of the world to make change. It's never the majority. All it takes is a few men and women of principle, common sense, diligence, and courage. Make today the start of a revolution. Really, I just felt suddenly this morning because I woke up and it was load shedding. I was like, you know how many people just want to give up right now? Mm-hmm. How many people are just gatvol? Tired. They're tired of traffic lights not working. They're tired of potholes on the road. All of these things we talk about all the time, so I don't want to labor the point, but I do want to say this, that in some ways, we are prepared in South Africa for everything.
Yes.
And this is I know this sounds perverse, but it's almost like a strength. Yesterday, we had some people from the American consulate here. Mm-hmm. And I interviewed the head of commerce for the American delegation in South Africa. And she's a really interesting person called Cynthia. And she's got an amazing story. We'll play that out in the next few days, and you'll get to know her a little bit. But when they arrived, they were like, oh, it's amazing how South Africa works. I thought, yeah, you're right. It is amazing. Like now, because of load shedding and traffic lights out, people leave 20 minutes earlier.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we prepare.
Yeah.
We don't go, oh, sorry, I'm 20 minutes late, because that's not going to fly.
Oh, yes.
So now you prepare. You're like thinking for the government. You're thinking for everyone else in advance.
Even meetings, people will be like, oh, can't do 4:00, have load shedding.
Let's do 4:20 or
yes.
whatever. Yeah. So that's one thing we do. Now they're planning for, like you hear when people say, I'm going to do this thing at this place, but they've got JoJo tanks. And this is, I mean, in some ways, you got to admire the fact. I know it's not ideal, and I know it fucking irritates people, and I don't expect you to be happy about this. I'm not trying to convince you that, a turd is a block of gold. We all know what we're looking at.
Yes.
But there is a strength in this. It's like it's preparing us in a way that the rest of the world is too soft to be ready for. And I don't think it's going to get any better in any part of the world. Like, everybody's in shit at the moment. Have you seen what's going on in America? Have you seen banks after the Silicon Valley Bank collapse?
So there was a guy on TikTok who basically came on to do a press release after the whole Silicon Bank drama. And he's like, guys, this is what happened. I got a link to a Zoom call. I jumped on, and it's all the guys from Silicon Valley. They nervous and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they basically had like this impromptu, like, what do we do now? And he was just dropping a TikTok to say, we think we have it under control, but we're not too sure.
They don't. They don't have any of it. I'll tell you what. The Saudis just pulled their funding of Credit Suisse, which is like one of the big Swiss banks. Now, the Swiss banks have never had a problem. And the reason that they've been mismanaged badly by a bunch of very average people, which is the case for most corporate institutions in the world. I hate to say it, but the people who started a lot of these businesses, the visionaries, the people who had the energy and the drive and the competence and the determination, they are either getting old and phasing out, or they've appointed managers, and managers just manage. They can't really grow things. And a lot of the people who are in charge of the world at the moment are managers, but they're not even good at it. They're full of bullshit ideas that have nothing to do with competence and productivity and all of this stuff. So in some ways, like, we are well poised in South Africa to fend for ourselves.
Yes. And
ordinary
make
South
jokes.
And make jokes about it. We've got a good sense of humor. And by the way, a little bit later on, we're going to have Barry Hilton on. But we do have a sense of humor about ourselves. And whether you are poor or rich in this country, you are making a plan. It's not like people have just given up and are just dying in their droves on the side of the road. It's like people are still, no matter how shit their lives have become, no matter how many promises have been broken, no matter how much they expected and it wasn't ever delivered, those people are not just stopping. They're growing their own veggies.
Yes.
They are installing like rainwater collection. They're doing whatever they can. And I admire that so goddamn much about our people. So let's just look at it as a way to prepare us for what the rest of the world has no idea is coming. I mean, I do not think the financial system is going to get better for a little while. We're going to be in this for at least the next 5 years, which means it's not going to go back to where there was just money flowing and government doing things for people and all that shit. It was highly irregular. So what we need is to look to ourselves and support and help each other where we can, because it's not coming from anywhere else. And in some ways, isn't that great? Because it all depends on you. So you wake up in the morning and do your thing, you'll be okay. If you don't wake up in the morning and you're lazy and you feel like taking drugs and you feel like, giving up on life, then obviously shit's going to happen to you and it's going to be all on you. And I would rather take responsibility for me, and I'm sure you would too, than have someone else take responsibility for you. You're not a child.
100%. There's this gym quote that I recently saw. So the guy was like, the one place that's super fair in life is gym, because whatever you put in is what you get out.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening now in South Africa, is that whatever you're going to put in now is what you're going to get out in your own life. So if you put in the 200%, I think you are going to get 200% back. That's
absolutely right. And no one can ever gym for you.
Yeah.
Right? No one else can. You can't appoint, like, you could be rich, rich, but you can't appoint someone else to go to gym for you because you're so busy and you don't have time. You have to do that.
And you have to do the reps and you have to go through the pain. And you have to go through like all of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So Carl says on Monday, I've reached out to all the other small businesses and we're equipping each other with dildos. When we see the EFF on Monday, we're going to throw them while we shout, "Eat a dick." Wouldn't that be a funny protest? I mean, I don't know how expensive dildos are, but if they're cheap enough, that would be the funniest protest in history. Imagine they hit the road and they're like, and they're busy, and people just throw dicks at them.
And one's going to land in the mouth.
Yeah, of course. Someone will choke. It'll be hilarious. Oh, my God. All right. So everybody says that this long weekend is deserved. So that's another thing. Like take the Monday if you can. Not because you're afraid of the shutdown, but because you need a day. I mean, this year started like,
yeah, time is just moving super fast.
So almost the end of March already.
Yeah.
So Carl also says SIM card. It's not Silicon Valley. It's Silicon Valley. So minor difference, but yes, silicone's the stuff for the fake titties, and that you use to seal baths and glue shit. That's silicone. Silicon is the element that we use to make microchips. Simon says here in Zim, we have maybe a decade ahead of South Africa in the shitty government department and adaptability to the new life. Sad another country might be headed that way. Well, again, it all depends on your point of view here, because as we've discussed many times on this show, there is not a perfect place, a utopia that is, somewhere in this world where you go to and everything's just fucking great. I mean, I've got friends in North America, Australia, Europe, South America, Asia. Everywhere's got some problem. You just got to choose what your problem is. Would you prefer tornadoes and volcanoes? Would you prefer politicians like Trump and Biden? Would you prefer the protests that are going on in Holland at the moment, in France at the moment? I mean, there's shit going down everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's not like anyone is immune to it. So if you feel like moving, of course, move, go and do it. But this place really needs you. And where do you want to be in the world? Do you want to be in the place that needs you the most? Where you can actually make a difference? Where one small thing you do will have unbelievable results? Or do you want to go somewhere and every time you make a noise, it's drowned out in a sea of other voices?
Yeah. And kind of people don't want to hear from you, the outsider.
Right. I love it. All right. Very good. I love this name. Lorenz Rugheimer says, Amen. All right. Well, thank you, Lorenz. Ricky says, lol, this is so well planned by the EFF. Nobody will go to work anyway and they'll claim victory. Yeah, well, I suppose so. My sister in New York, the company's just gone tits up. You see? And I mean, in America, it's not like they have any labor protections. I'm not for labor protections, but there you just get fired. You just grab.
You walk in one day.
They give you your box and you're out on the street. You're literally standing on 7th Avenue with your box going, taxi. Your box has got like your family photos in it and that shit. It's really tough. It's unbelievable. Angus says, quite rightly, we discussed this, I think, on Tuesday. SVB's failure was its push for wokeness over financial performance. It has no risk. It had no risk manager for 8 months and was technically bankrupt 5 months ago. Yeah, but also, it's fine. You can have all kinds of political objectives when you have free money lying around. But I don't know that that's going to be available anymore. I think that money is run out. So we're going to have to see what the next stage of this. I think all of that crap's going to fall to the side. It's funny, like when things are going fine, people can be ideological. Mm-hmm. They can have all kinds of grand ideas about how things would be better if we just did this. Or here's some wacky left field idea, and that's fine when things are working. But when everything is run by people who've just got ideas and don't do anything, which is kind of what's happening now, it falls apart. You need plumbers, electricians, doctors, those people who actually use their hands to get shit done. And I'm afraid our political class all over the world, not just in South Africa, all over the world, the politicians are all these like thinker types. And there's nothing wrong with being a thinker type. I'm not knocking the fact that many human beings have contributed unbelievably to the success of civilization by being thinkers. But you need the doers.
Yes.
And I'm afraid the doers are sitting around going, we're not taking part in this shit. And we're not getting blamed for your dumb ideas. So they'll wait in the sidelines and hopefully get involved when we really need them. We will have to see. Valerie says, good morning, Gareth and Sim. I kind of like the idea of tossing dildos in the mix. Raised quite a giggle for me, LMO. Have a great day. Okay, so listen, you can call us. We are opening the lines as we do now because I prefer taking calls. I don't know if you've noticed this. It's kind of a much more fun way of doing your contribution than me reading comments. Plus, we get to hear your voice. You get to actively participate in the show. The number is on the screen, 083-295-5649. 5769. 083-295-5769. I'll put you on the air with Simphiwe and I, and you tell us what's on your mind. What do you want to say? Give us a shout. All right, you've got the number. It's right up there. Ben will be joining us in a short while. Barry Hilton is in later on. We're going to have some fun. Last week with David Gow was, yes, he was cross. You know, it's meant to be no politics Friday, and I suppose we live in a world. Yeah, I think that's a long time gone, because it's kind of our preoccupation at the moment. And geez, David was like letting loose. And you were not helping. You were like climbing on board as well. Instead of you like directing him into, let's laugh and talk some shit, Dave. You were like, no, we must lock our grandparents away.
And I stand by it. Hide your grandparents voting day.
You were no help at all. I was like,
No, I just want people to know that the elders, they're not going to change their votes. Doesn't matter what happens. So please, just hide them. Just lock them in a room. That's what I'm doing. I'm
somewhere safe.
Yes, just for a few hours. Leave them with some food. It's okay.
Oh,
and that's what's gonna help us, I think, move forward. You see, that's my contribution to the solution. Just hide the elders, the grannies, the grandmas. That's it.
Oh my God. All right. So Sean says he's invoicing Julius. I'm in sales and was forced to put in leave for Monday, the idiots. Well, that would be quite fun. You invoice, everybody sends them an invoice.
Yes.
For Monday to explain how economics, because these are not people who understand economics. So if we give them an invoice and we say, please pay by X date, they'll suddenly shit themselves and go, oh, that's how an economy works.
Yeah, but knowing Julius as well, he's just going to come and be like, hey.
He'll probably use it as fuel for the fire. Who knows? Anyway. All right, well, hang on. Someone says they called and no one answered. Bullshit, Valerie. 083-295-5769. If you're calling, I'm answering. I'm not ignoring anybody. I don't see any missed calls here, Valerie. You're full of shit. All right, hey, Ben, what's happening? Look, here's Ben Karpinski, everybody. Hey, hello, Ben. Wait a second. I can't hear you. It's my fault. There we go.
Yeah, how's that?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I can hear everything now.
Loud and clear.
Wow, this place gets more sophisticated. Hey, today I arrived and Ryan's like, let me just slip you in. There's a computer already here. I don't have to do anything. I just sat down.
You see, we're getting back into like tidying shit up and having an organized studio around us. I always preferred having things exactly a certain way.
So you can just slip in.
Correct. We're getting there.
All about slipping
Next time you come here, everything will be assembled properly. There'll be automatic cameras on the walls. We're doing everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, going big.
Amazing. That's very exciting.
We want a full experience here.
But that's what a studio should be. It should be it's the word immersive.
Immersive.
If you can be immersive in life.
Isn't that the advertising? Immersive. And if I hear one more person in advertising talk to me about Chat GPT, I'm going to shit myself.
Oh, Gareth.
No, really, because the more you talk about it, and I think it's interesting, don't get me wrong. The more you talk about it, the more I think you are actually worried it's going to replace you, and that's why you're talking about it.
Do you know there's been like a new update? So there's like Chat GPT 4. It got released 14th of March. And already what people can do on it is incredible. You can like upload a picture. Oh,
sorry, Simphiwe. Sorry, we interrupted Simphiwe here about Chat GPT.
Is that Valerie?
Just let her finish quickly. Valerie, you got a very deep voice. Just hold on.
Deep voice.
Simphiwe, finish your thought, and then
I was just saying that you can upload a picture of like ingredients, and it can now analyze that picture and tell you what meals you can make with whatever picture you put or what's happening.
Yeah,
in the
but
picture.
I know an app that could do that 50 years ago. It's called Mom.
Exactly. Costly.
You know what?
Worth it.
You know what a mom would do? A mom would go to the pantry or the fridge, see what's available, and go, "Oh, these fucking people I have to feed." I mean, this is my mother anyway. She'd go, she hates cooking, right? She'd go to the kitchen and she'd go, "I have to give these fuckers," and then she'd find something, and some nights it would be a 10 out of 10, and some nights, she'd say, "Well, find your own food then." All right, what's up, Valerie?
I'm not Valerie, it's Marcelo. Valerie never called you.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was Valerie. All right, well, what do you want to say, Marcelo? What's up with you this Friday?
I have a situation here. I need your advice. In 2021, I decided to leave social media, stop watching news and blah, blah, blah.
Good.
So now I have this mate who keeps sending me these links from Facebook, video links.
Oh no!
And I watch these things. I'm like, dude, we don't have the same sense of humor. I think in myself, I'm like,
okay, but what kind of clips? What are these like from the news?
From the news, from people who hit each other. I'm like, I'm not into this. So how do I tell them without sounding rude?
You just tell him. I mean, this is not a difficult one. Let's talk to Ben. He doesn't give a shit about people's feelings. What would you do, Ben?
Well, you got to ask the question, how do these clips make you feel? Terrible, right? So throw it back. You are enduring all kinds of bullshit for no reason. And if you don't tell him, they'll get worse. I had a very similar problem. I've got to share, I had a similar problem as I've got older, is that as my friends become more and more dad-like, they become less and less funny. It's not because they're less funny. It's just that their surroundings have been diluted by small children who don't have good senses of humor. So I've now got to get dad humor, and I have no time for it. I'm sorry. I want cutting edge. I want dark. I want edgy. I want stuff that makes you a little bit like uneasy.
Yeah.
I don't want the fun stuff.
No.
I'm not that person.
And the worst thing is that they are from Facebook. I don't know if he doesn't watch YouTube because I like YouTube, not Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is what we were talking about with Simphiwe. Anyway, I've got another call, Mapelo. I'm hoping they'll be more interesting than you. We'll speak to you later.
But Mapelo, also get friends south of 60.
All right. Hello. Hello. You got to hello. You got to turn off us in the background because now you're actually on the show.
Okay.
Valerie. I want Valerie.
Oh, Jesus.
Is
All
this
right.
Valerie?
Yeah, go ahead, Valerie. What's up?
This is Valerie. No, nothing up. I can't call you on WhatsApp. That's why nobody answered.
Oh.
Valerie, it's called WhatsApp, not WhatsApp. I know it's I know it's an Afrikaans app, WhatsApp, but also it's actually WhatsApp.
It's WhatsApp. WhatsApp.
No, WhatsApp. Say it with me. Say WhatsApp.
Called you on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
All right. What's up?
It's got the tit in a hat.
A tit in a hat.
Yeah.
Are you a bird?
What? No, I just love that idea of dildos flying around.
Oh, yeah. No, we all like that.
If I run out of airtime, I'm going to die on you, sir.
Well,
anyway, Gareth,
your life sounds great. All right, well, listen, I mean, I agree with you. Dildos is the way to go. That's what we should be aiming for, right?
Yes. And I just want to tell you.
All right. Valerie, thank you. Wow, that was, I almost feel bad about saying bye to Mapelo so we could take that call. But, it takes all kinds. Valerie shouldn't start drinking this early in the day.
It was quite early.
It's very early.
Again, it's the case of the Smirnoff Storms or the Spins or whatever these people have.
I think it's a thing on Fridays. People wake up and have a drink.
Yeah. It's Friday. It's not going great. Let's open this.
Listen, I saw somebody sitting on the side of the road. I came in on, what was it, Monday? Early, right? I drove in early on Monday morning, and I was like, there was a person, homeless person, sitting on the side of the road with a brown paper bag, old school, a bottle of something in it, starting their day like that. It was still dark. Either they were going from the previous night or I'm not sure, but it was definitely quite. Hello?
To tune in.
What?
I said, no, I haven't been drinking. I haven't been to sleep yet. I stayed awake to listen to you guys talk shit.
All right. Well, I mean, that's okay. I'm glad that you came in to defend yourself again. I better save this number.
Thanks for the super show. Thanks for super entertainment.
We love you. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie.
Thanks, Valerie.
Okay, have a lekker day. Have
you
a good
too.
Weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, I don't believe her.
No.
I'm convinced.
I'm even more convinced. I better save that number. No, we know when it's Valerie. We know to take her call. I like that. That's good. All right. Well, we do have a couple of things we want to talk to you about. There's some news as well. We'll get to that in a little while. I was saying the other day, Gloria Bosman died, and the news kind of trickled out very slowly. I don't know if people didn't care, which would be very sad. But
sorry, who's Gloria Bosman?
She's a famous jazz singer in South Africa. She died in her 50s, and she died this week, and a lot of people didn't even know. So, we often talk about musicians and artists who've gone. Also in the news, South Park has used ChatGPT to write a new episode.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we will see that soon. That's
So
going to
the
be
entire
interesting.
thing from start to finish
Yeah.
was written by ChatGPT, which is the old version now.
Mm.
Because there's a new
Yeah, there's what GP4 or GPT4 or whatever it is. And
I feel like I'm in the future talking to you guys. You've got like various versions about things. I'm just
no.
using the original one.
No,
And
this-
I
this
use
is
it like
Doc, we're on version 4
no,
now.
this is important.
version 4.
So I saw Ben went to the Kruger Park, some awesome pictures. I saw you also were wearing two-tone khaki, which
That's me now.
is that your thing?
That's the
Okay.
two-tone life. Yeah, I'm all
Alright.
about it. Yeah, I had the best trip in Kruger.
Did you
3
buy
days.
those clothes or did someone give them to you?
No, I bought them.
You bought them with your own money.
And I intend to buy more.
You bought Ben, you bought that stuff with your own money.
That smile on your
There's
face.
nothing better than being in the Kruger wearing tiny shorts because that's the appropriate length for any actual man. And then you're watching game and then you're braaiing and you're drinking. It's
So that's how you know you're having fun, huh?
That's how I know I'm actually living now. That's it. It really is. So I'm buying, every month I'll just buy something else. Eventually I'm going to get to the stage where I'm pretty much going to go full two-tone.
I love it.
Sure.
Good.
Because
Embrace it, Ben. Live.
It's one of these things that if you get ahead of any sort of like ridicule in life, no one can ever rip you off. Which I think is how most people live. Once they get over it.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. So in other words, you take the piss out of yourself before anyone else has to.
It's also just a lot more comfortable wearing that clothing.
Really? In the Kruger Park or generally?
Just generally. I mean,
so this is why farmers, all those Buddha in the Free State, that's why they wear them.
Absolutely.
I've seen black people. You know Temba, who's been on the show before,
Yes.
Temba Robin. He's doing these funny videos and he wears that two-tone khaki shit. I think he really likes it.
Like I would wear it now. It's just that you probably think I'll be doing it for effect. So I'm easing it in.
Oh.
Eventually I'll be on the show in two-tone.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we look forward to that.
It'll be like
day.
a slow bleed, but eventually shorts in winter, the whole deal. You feel capable as a human. It's the best.
Well, it did look like you were having fun. You had beer in one hand. I think you had braai tongs in the other. I mean, this is
What's missing? What Afrikaans?
You don't, but you don't get more like Kruger Park than that.
But also, it was the most Kruger Park of trips. So we stayed at the Biamiti Bush camp. So it's a little bit off the beaten track, so to speak. So it's like private road to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, we got in on the Thursday. 5 minutes in, we saw a lion chasing a baby zebra.
Jesus.
Didn't quite get it, but it caused a huge commotion on this one open plain. We saw leopard 4 different occasions. We saw leopard having sex.
What?
Mating.
Nice.
We saw lions having the mating. Went on a bushwalk. Actually, walked in the bush. I even saw an African wildcat. You don't see those, right? It's like the Kruger's meowsers, basically. There it was, just in the thing. And this huge eagle owl was above it, and this cat was shitting itself. And it's just, and because there was all like the rains and the floods and that kind of stuff, a lot of the roads were kind of closed and reopening. So there was no one around us. We saw no tracks on the actual roads.
That's phenomenal.
We went on 2 drives with our main man, Simon, who loves a stiff drink. Just got to see so much, and there was nothing around you. Like we were just driving back to the camp the one day, and there was a leopard by the tree, but like from me to you away. And there's no one, because in Kruger sometimes you get about 12 cars.
Oh yeah, and they all gather around, and then
so when
they start fighting over position.
Yeah, when the lions were having the sex, there was just cars everywhere, which is unfortunate. But this leopard,
well, it shows you what people are really interested in.
There is. That was it. People were driving from all over the park to come see this lion leg over. That was cool. It's like every time you go to Kruger, there's different levels and there's different layers, and like talking to people around there. But then it was the same week where all those stories are coming out about how bad the poaching's getting and the corruption. And I mean, there's a lot to that story, which I don't want to make a Friday thing.
No.
But you know, like people always used to say, like, oh, it's these Mozambicans coming in, and it's these people.
It's not.
It's not.
It's our own people.
But you know why it's not the Mozambicans anymore?
Because they're getting eaten.
Well,
because there was a time when Mozambicans were like major lion food on the east side of the park.
Yeah, but also the bushcraft that was always around these guys who were the soldiers who were out there fighting, that's kind of fallen away in the generations now. So if you've got people coming from these neighboring countries, they're not skilled in bushcraft like they used to be and be able to do what they did.
Right.
So they get arrested far easier. So everyone's like, oh yeah, it's these foreign nationals coming in from over there. It's not really.
We got to stop blaming. Listen,
it's
South
an
Africans,
easy blame game. But
we South Africans have got to stop blaming other people for when we ourselves have fucked up.
Yeah, but it's just
really
because it's the saddest thing that something is so beautiful like that, and just the general corruption and
well, all right, then let's not go. Please don't depress. I've got Barry Hilton who's going to talk about depression later. I had David Cow who was angry last week. I've got to.
Well,
Please stop.
all I'm saying is that, like,
Simphiwe wants to lock a grandmother away on election day. Please, can we just calm down?
all I'm saying is, in 5 years' time, with my two-tone life, I might be on the
Well,
front lines there.
Somebody, Janet here says, don't forget the long socks with a comb in them. You have to go big or go home.
Janet, that's not quite my generation of two-tone. You know, this is the thing. People just think everything's the same in life, right? Generalizing is a bit harsh. That's more like 1970s and down, like people who still send Facebook links.
A lot of people are saying you will lose Daniela again if you wear the.
She's into it.
Shit.
As long as I keep good muscle tone in my legs, I've got it.
Yeah, because you can't have shit legs and wear shorts.
So the brand of two-tone that I'm subscribing to, all the models, you can see these guys just deadlift every day. It's hilarious. That's a
Really?
Yeah.
That's what they do. Tabo says, by the way, what's up with the black farmers wearing these two-tone khakis? Are you guaranteed to succeed? I think it's part of the success. I think it matters.
Okay, so what, they're simulating, or
Yeah,
are they?
I think when you become a farmer, it becomes obvious to you to do certain things. And this is one of those things.
What you got to do, guys, is give two-tone a try. You got to give it a try. Before you know it, it's going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
All right, well, we'll figure it out, I suppose. Don't start wearing Crocs, says Congo Chris.
That's
No,
not the same, Congo
no, it's
Chris.
Very, very different.
That's wash your mouth out with ball
Yeah,
yeah.
we
Crocs,
definitely.
it's a different thing. Like, why can this is on the internet, right? You say you like something, someone goes, "Oh, so you like this too?"
No, not
it's
at
not
all.
the same, Congo
Yeah,
Chris.
that's not how it works.
Hang your pseudonym head in shame.
Right, exactly. All right, so you wanted to talk about that. Simphiwe's got a whole bunch of things on her agenda. She wants to talk. How long is your finger?
Which one?
Okay, wait.
And what
The
does
right
it for?
hand-
And what
Okay.
are you asking that for? That sounds very wrong. New studies suggest men can look at their fingers to check how likely they will be to end up bald.
Yes.
Oh shit! Okay,
So
let's
right
go.
hand finger, if your ring finger is longer than your index finger, then you're 6 times likely to go bald.
Right hand or left hand?
Right.
I'm
No.
pretty sure everyone's index finger will be shorter than their ring
No,
finger.
No,
so
it must be longer. If
I
your
think
index
mine-
is
long.
long, if your ring finger is longer than your index, there we go.
Then you're going to go bald.
Yes, you're 6
Well, no.
times likely to.
I'm not. And do you see any balding
No.
going on here?
What's going on? Is your index finger shorter?
Slightly.
Everyone's index finger shorter. It's a
No.
shorter finger.
They did a study with like over 240 men, and they saw that.
You got big monkey hands, Ben.
Is this the same study that
You
said
got big. I've never noticed this about you before. In all this time
I've
I've known you,
actually
I've
got
never
quite
seen
small
your
hands.
big monkey
I got
hands.
quite small hands?
But
Jesus.
yeah, and it was proven that men
Who
that
did the study? The same people who say dad bods are sexy. 'Cause that's a fucking lie. I'll tell you right now.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are
If
you
you want to
so-
know if you want to go bald, look at your mother's side of the family.
Is that what they say?
It's a better kind of process than this.
All right.
What if your ring finger's longer?
Yeah, I think Simphiwe is full of shit. I mean, you keep coming up with these surveys that are nonsense.
No, this is the
Nonsense.
truth. We are moving.
Has
we're progressing.
ChatGPT confirmed this?
All right, here's an important message from somebody who wanted to say something to Ben. I don't know who this is, or someone who listens to us.
Ah, Kara.
Mm. Okay. Oh, that's last week's. Okay. Oh, can you imagine being married to this woman? Talk and talk and talk. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. No, I jumped ahead of the gun there. That was very sweet.
Very sweet.
Thank you very much. How nice.
Nice person.
George says you're right, by the way. It is from the mother's side, the baldness.
Yeah.
Guys,
So
guys,
if
guys,
George confirms you, then
guys.
it's
This is hey, please listen to me. I'm telling you, well in advance, in like 2-3 years, when this is like a new norm, you heard it here first. I'm just saying.
no, it got disputed here first.
Apparently,
Big difference.
people couldn't hear that voice note. I thought it was playing through. Oh, okay.
Oh, I did.
Sorry.
No.
She was just basically saying how
Oh.
she's loving what's going on here. She's following us. She's paying attention to all the shows. She's very happy about Ben. So all of that stuff came through. I don't know why that it didn't play through here, but we'll try and figure that out. You know, still teething problems. There's always something technical to bite you in the ass. Okay, so another thing that's important here is the 10 most attractive nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a big deal because people are always, there's huge competition.
Yes.
All over the world. Everybody always goes, well, where would you go if you were a single guy or a single girl and you wanted to meet someone of the opposite sex who's hot as fuck? And I spoke to a wise elder some time ago. He said to me, apparently in a little European country called Montenegro, there are the most beautiful girls, but they all live on the coast. If you go inland, they turn into hobbits.
Warts. Face
Big
warts.
trolls.
Yeah.
So face warts with hairs growing out of them and short, stumpy legs and often like black hair coverings.
Hairy hands.
Often quite aggressive.
Well, that's what happens
But
if
the
you
ones
don't
on the coast are magnificent. He said they are by far and away the most beautiful women he's ever seen. Does Montenegro even come up on the list?
No.
No. See?
No. So I'll
Gareth,
give you
what were the hopes of
It's-
Simphiwe's
it's-
list actually
it's so-
being accurate? She's probably going to tell us bullshit like Singapore or like
or where
Yeah,
countries
no.
where your pinky finger is shorter than your
Yeah.
index finger, that's where your pretty people live.
she's probably going to tell us Portugal, and those yentas are going to be like,
No.
okay, carry
Okay,
on.
so
Sorry,
let's
jump
go.
in the gun.
It's-
Okay,
Simphiwe,
so I'll
here
start
it
with
is. There's the
the
list.
top 5 of the most attractive men and women. So I'll start with the men, where you can find the most attractive men. At number 5, Sweden. 4, USA. 3, Italy. 2, India. 1, the UK.
The UK,
Yeah.
attractive men.
Yes, if you're looking for someone.
Are you high? The UK, have you?
I mean, I knew that list was going to go south at
you see
some
what
stage.
Boris
but not
Johnson
right at the
looks
top.
like? I mean,
Hey,
Jeremy-
The UK.
Jeremy
Maybe he
Clarkson
doesn't he
and
doesn't
Boris
represent-
Johnson.
He doesn't represent.
Okay,
you seen
who
their
does?
sports
David Beckham. I mean, apart from David
He's
Beckham,
Very, very
okay, but
sexy.
who apart from David Beckham has
Basically,
ever?
David Beckham.
Have you seen Prince William?
Have you seen Prince Harry?
Going on to the woman.
All right, but no, but hang on. Let's just break this down. So you're telling me
If you're British and you're good looking, please let us know.
again? I'm afraid you got to reveal your sources. Who put this list together?
Okay.
Blind people?
No, so this
BBC?
No, this was like a Reddit poll that they did.
British
Uh,
Reddit?
No, just like
Reddit.
Reddit, yes, the social media like platform where they just got a poll going, and this is what people said. Who they find the most
But
attractive.
maybe the just more British people on Reddit
But
because
okay,
they
here's for
would
the
vote.
women.
It's about okay. So let's listen to the women and before we
Yes,
criticize,
and then we'll
this.
do
All right,
overall
good.
nationalities,
Okay, let's
right?
Because
So
I have
then-
completely different views.
So if you're looking for a young, sexy mama, at number 5, Italy.
Fair enough.
Number 4, Poland.
Fair enough.
3, Sweden.
Yeah.
2, Japan. 1, India.
So India's 1 and 2 here.
They've also got the most people in the world. I wonder if that's related.
Mhm. And now overall, now we'll go to the top 10, like overall most attractive nationality.
Okay.
Right?
Overall, this is men and women.
Yes, just overall. So
Good-looking people. All right,
Yes.
let's go. I'm
at
all
number 10,
ears.
Denmark. 9, Ukraine. 8.
Well, not at the moment. I mean, they're really
Well, like rubble around their
yeah. I mean,
face.
dust and
Dust.
shrapnel, and it's not good.
Okay, 8, Italy. 7, France.
Yeah.
6, Brazil.
Uh huh.
5, Canada.
Right.
4, Japan. 3, Sweden.
Why no African countries here? By the way, they're racist.
Very.
They are, yeah, but like later, like
Ah,
down because
They
they,
don't
did
care
like
about us.
Yeah. Number 2, we have the USA, and coming in at number 1 again, India.
All right. So, listen, if you've ever seen any Bollywood anything, I got to say that there is a very big, strong vote that would persuade me to consider India definitely top 3. I mean, also there are thousands and thousands of people for every other person in the world, right?
Mhm.
So your chances of encountering a very attractive person are just multiplied, but there are also more ugly people. So, I mean, wherever there's more of both, right?
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing because
I've seen those women in those Bollywood
Oh,
movies.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
no, like around the IPL and the cricket, Sure, but like none of us are good at maths in this room. That's probably why we're very good at talking.
Well, also these statistics are made up on the spot.
But you've got to think like at what number is a critical mass to say like good-looking people? Because your point, Gareth, for every million people out there who probably still have scurvy in the streets, there's maybe like 10 really good, attractive actresses and actors.
Well, here's an interesting point. Nico says Indian people rarely go gray or bald, which is an interesting point of view. I suppose, when they're very old, everyone goes gray. But
I guess it's like
Thabo is a complete racist. This is Africans are just ugly. How fucking dare you? Afrikaans girls in South Africa, says Shani, but that's because she's probably an Afrikaans girl in South Africa, right?
Afrikaans girls in South Africa, in America, are the most beautiful.
Okay, so Shani's just hit her head really hard this morning getting out of bed. Homotso says, old British women go to the Gambia to meet young... This is true. Go to the Gambia to meet young guys and actually marry them. This is a documentary. Well, they're called bumsters. This is something J.J. Cornish told us about one morning. So these old trots from Britain, way past their prime.
They swim upstream to the Gambia.
Got a bit of cash. Go spend some pounds in Africa. They get on a boat or they get on a plane. They go off to the Gambia, which is a tiny country just on the river there.
It's a slither of black cock, let's be honest. That's what these women call it.
That's what they want.
That's what they call it.
Oh, I'm going to go off and get myself some BBC. And I'm not talking about a news network.
Right? Can you imagine these grannies over a pot of tea in front room talking about what they're doing for summer, and they're all basically just watching Pornhub, like channels like Blacked. They're going, "That's us, Cheryl. That's us in 2 weeks."
Oh, are you excited?
Maybe do your Kegels, Lindsay. And I haven't actually watched it. I've seen clips on the internet of how they're actually like some people were against it, saying these women are exploiting these.
These guys are loving it. They're taking the money.
The economy, no doubt.
I mean, listen. Everybody at some point has to do something they don't want to do.
They're taking one for the country,
right? And as soon as these old trouts leave or die, their job is done. They can move on with their lives.
Sounds like
it must be such a sight in the airport because, like, if people come to South Africa, they come for various reasons, right? They want to go to Kruger Park, the Winelands, whatever.
Sure.
When those grannies touch down there, they basically have a shirt saying, "I'm here for the dick." Their eager eyes and soft salivation shuffle across to the courtesy vehicle in their Crocs.
Annette says, absolutely, Indian people are the most beautiful in the world. Okay, I've got to throw in a couple of countries here.
Okay.
I agree with Italy and Poland.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to say Argentina and Brazil have to make the list somewhere.
Absolutely. Argentinian people are very good looking. If you watch the World Cup.
I've also got to say that I'm happy to hear Japan's in there because you cannot disagree. It might not be everybody's taste, you know? Like some people are more into a certain look than another look, but you've got to admit, like some of these Japanese women are they're like porcelain dolls. They look too pretty to be real.
Yeah. Faultless. Flawless.
I would say South African women are pretty attractive.
But what is a South African woman, though? We're so diverse.
But this is the point.
That's right. Like India is India, right? You know what an Indian person looks like. A South African person could be anyone. It's like Brazilians. If you go to Brazil.
That's why I think because the more diverse the genetic variations. Like, for example, if you get someone from Chile and they marry someone from Japan, or you get someone from Nigeria and they marry someone from Thailand or Moldova or whatever, they could produce the most beautiful children. I mean, often the mixed kids are the ones, and I mean, if there's any potential for mix, it's here in South Africa, right? So because we've got such diversity. So I think it depends on taste.
Absolutely, but it's also great to be so like subjective on this stuff. You know that show we spoke about, the Physical 100? They should have a show, Beauty 100.
Yeah, it'll be so controversial.
Wait, don't we have something like that already? It's called beauty pageants?
No, but they've been cancelled everywhere as well.
Yeah,
so
but that's lame, and it's like a dog and pony show. I mean, the Beauty 100, you really go down to challenges. Like, okay, when you wake up after a bender, 3 balls, what do you look like? This is a good show. You've just dropped a pill in Ibiza, whatever, and you've been raging for 3 days. What do you look like now?
Rajesh says, I'm Indian, grey, bald, and ugly as fuck. I dispute this. Rajesh. Mfundo says, we have wigs and too much makeup. That's why. Jesus, people are beating up on themselves. Oh, Granny's doing Kegels has just finished me, says Megan. Yeah, that is a funny visual picture. Tebogo says, Japanese women, I agree, they also age so well. Someone looking 25 could actually be 35, and they're so secretive about their age. Tabo wants to know straight up, does Reddit not have a list for the biggest cocks?
Well, that's where Africa comes to play.
That's where we really.
Then we're back.
That's where we play.
Guys
right?
like Gambia with their cocks on their shoulders at the airport. They'll have a say on this. You know what,
you got to play to your strengths, right?
You know when you fly, into a country on the national carrier, there'll be like a stupid video about like either visas or what to expect. Imagine like flying into the Gambia
churches
and there's like, so you here for the cock? Good choice. And then they basically tell you all about what's going to happen. And these women are all sitting there in the plane, putting their seats back upright and just watching.
I got to say, this is way more entertaining than when JJ told us about it. When I was between jobs, says Vilmich, a few years ago, my son said, I have a joke to cheer you up, Dad. What's the difference between you and an extra large pizza? He says an extra large pizza could feed a family of 4. Fuck Ben and his diluted dad jokes. That hit hard at the time, but he managed to make me laugh every time I think of that joke. That's your son. That's a hardcore joke for a son to tell a father.
That's pretty hectic.
Yeah.
You've got to applaud that kind of stuff in life.
Oh, wow. A professional golfer, Tristan Lawrence, he's South African on the DP Tour. Is that the double penetration
yes.
tour?
that first tee is wild.
He won 20 million last year. He said Czechoslovakian girls are the best.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is
there's no Czechoslovakia, actually, John, and Tristan Lawrence. There's the Czech Republic
Tristan.
And there's Slovakia. What, Tristan?
Tristan's
Is that his name, Tristan? That's a terrible name.
So
I'm going to add that to my list of terrible names.
I think the people that travel the most should be making these lists because they've had to experience these people.
Good point. Yes.
So
the more travel the more stamps in your passport, the higher your vote.
So obviously, if you want to find out where the most beautiful people are, we have to interview Gary Player because he's traveled the most out of everybody, and he'll be able to tell you.
But also, like,
otherwise, we can't have this conversation unless Gary Player is the next time in this conversation.
I'm gonna have to say I really dispute the British being number one on the men list, and I don't know about some of those ones on the women list. The women list is less egregious to me, but I mean, we didn't make either. South Africa,
no.
But it's like Israelis.
No.
You go to Israel, you'll see some of the most beautiful people in the whole world. It's this melting pot of society, but they're so diverse, just like South Africa, just like Brazil.
Yeah,
it's hard to say what an Israeli actually looks like because you can get someone who's dark.
That's right. You're absolutely
super
right.
Dark.
I mean, if you
blonde
said
hair, blue eyes.
If you said, for example, in South Africa, are girls from Pretoria prettier than girls from Welkom? It's easy, right? Obviously, Pretoria wins.
But also, all the good-looking girls from Welkom went to Pretoria.
That's right.
See, that's just such a difficult thing. As humans,
we figure this out. Let's go to the calls. Hey, good morning.
Welkom.
Hello. Are you calling us from Welkom?
Oh,
clearly
got scared.
No, they just ran out of airtime in Welkom.
I got to say, Annette.
Yes.
Annette says that you, Gareth, won't go bald, but I definitely will. Thanks.
Yeah, but you've been doing some kind of.
I'm fighting it, Annette.
Yeah,
I'm fighting it.
You've been like rubbing shit into your scalp and all kinds of stuff.
I
right?
use a very good product. It's definitely helped me out a hell of a lot.
What is it called, Ben? People will want to know.
Well, I'm going to post about it today, actually, and bam. It's just it's and bam. It's like, and bam, your hair's back.
Oh, okay.
So basically, it's just a solution you put into your hair and you use shampoos.
I know 2 guys who've gone for those hair transplants.
My brother's going for that.
Really?
We're going to Istanbul next month.
Oh, so it's in Turkey, right?
So
that's where they go.
Well, there's more. Yeah. There's a lot more hair there. So the thing that I do is you just put it on. You don't worry about it. It's non-invasive. It's affordable. What my brother's doing is he's literally sitting under the will of 3 Turkish men for a whole day, and they're going to Gambia that hair into.
Wow. Gee, is it expensive?
It's pretty costly. So how funny is this going to be? Like, my dad has been to Istanbul quite a few times because he goes from there.
He was stuck there
he was stuck there when there was the terrorists.
The terrorists, when they attacked the airport, he was there.
So my middle brother, who did stem cells and his hair didn't grow back, put a lot of money into stem cells, and they were harvesting his fat and injecting into his head. He's tried a few things. He hasn't tried what I've done though. Anyway. I'm not going to get into that. So he's now
It's a
going
bit
to
of a
go.
put down, don't you think?
He's like, I had the solution all along, but hey,
I
he
did,
didn't want
and
to
I
take
told
my
him
advice.
he didn't want to take my
All right.
advice. So
Yeah.
now he's going into Istanbul. So he arrives on like the Sunday or whatever. Then my dad and I and then my other brother are going to arrive on the Monday. So for the first time, all the Kopinski boys in one international location. So what I want to do is get shirts made of like, you know, something like stupid, like cheesy, like Kopinski's on tour. But I want to get a picture of my
Oh, that'll
brother,
be funny.
and I want to like put a hairstyle onto him, like a bit, and walk the streets in these shirts, and his face with like a David Beckham 90s flowing.
Please do it. That'll be so cornrows. Cornrows. He's got cornrows. Oh, that's so great. George says, I can give you some of mine, Ben. I have too much. George is boasting here. That is boasting, George. We will not accept your offer.
George, you do have incredible hair, and may it always be that way.
Yes, George. It is some of the pride and joy that I think some guys have. Shane Warne, according to Ricky Lowe, actually once said South Africa has some of the most beautiful girls. I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
He did poon around quite a lot.
Shane
didn't
Warne, where he threw dick that guy here.
Yeah.
He really did. It was a massive loss to the world because he was one of the last true Australians. You know, I'm very passionate about talking about hair loss because it's one of the worst things for guys to go through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if I can give advice and help out.
No, absolutely.
And then Carlos says, Ben, is your mom bald? That's not how your mom's side. Okay. So like if her dad was bald, not hers.
But I think both my grandparents were bald. And both my brother and I have hair, which is lucky.
So your dad's kind of
That
So
rule
the
of your
theory of the
that rule of
the
yours,
fingers
your
is
rules as much
working.
your rule is as much bullshit as Simphiwe's fingers
But
rule.
if you go into your mom's side of the family,
Yeah.
do they all have incredible hair? Or are they all bald?
Well, okay, so
You're
her,
comparing
her
to your dad's
father
side.
her father did not have incredible hair.
Okay. And your dad's dad? He was rocking
No.
cornrows.
No, he was bald. He was bald. And my dad's
But I also think back in those days, you had to be bald to look distinguished. So they probably had great hair, but they chose
nah,
baldness.
but you see, they've also been selling us this bullshit that if you have extra testosterone and you're super manly,
Yeah,
that's how you
that's-
go bald. But we
that's
know
super
that's crap.
shit.
Otherwise, why would men be trying to get hair transplants in Turkey?
Well, that's just
Right.
an aesthetic.
Yeah. But I mean, why would it be why would women be more attracted to
Because you
women?
look younger.
You know, are you attracted to bald men or non-bald men? Let's ask Simphiwe. She'll know.
Non-bald. Like I'm too young to be
Right.
dealing with.
You want hair because hair makes
She's
you look
cop.
younger and you got more options of what you look like. When you're
Bowling
bald,
ball.
when
I
you're
saw
bald,
this-
you're bald.
I saw this dude in the gym the other day, shaving his head. Which I mean, I've
At the gym.
at the gym, shaving his head in the gym change rooms, and it was shiny afterwards. Just like, dude,
Yeah,
you were-
and then he puts like some sort of balm or
yeah,
whatever onto
yeah,
it.
yeah, he looked like a bowling ball. Very proud of himself.
Yeah, there's no subtlety with baldness. You're bald. It's just
Yeah, there's no halfway.
there's one lane.
A Gary player walked up to my mom in a restaurant in Cape Town and told her that she's a beautiful woman and we're Indians.
Well, there we go.
You
Yeah,
see?
he knows.
See, and if Gary knows,
There we go.
basically, if you ever want to get any of these tests done, just interview Gary. I mean, he's 113 years old. He's
He's
traveled
still
everywhere.
going. How many push-ups in the morning?
All of them. Yours, mine, Simphiwe's. He's doing all of them.
Does he still walk up to people he doesn't even know and tell their children that they're fat?
I hope so.
Oh,
He does that. You know
I
that.
hope so. He slapped a burger out of a kid's hand once at the Open Championship.
that was rude.
No, that's helpful. This kid with his grubby little fingers is grizzling over this burger, and Gary's like,
And
do better.
Did he say to him, "Stop eating bad food like that.
He said,
Bad for you."
you're basically going to die. You're a mess, and you're in embarrassment.
Really?
He obviously didn't say that.
But I mean, he
Close.
wow. Okay.
Gary's here for the long term, guys.
Famous Mama says, I remember when I did makeup for a wedding, I was horrified to find one of the ladies use sperm on her scalp as hair was getting thicker. Old wives' tale, if you ask me.
I think that person just had a lot of sperm in her hair for lots of other reasons and just kind of rolled with it.
Ladies do really crazy things.
Tony says her brother-in-law had his hair done in Cape Town last year. So it's
Yes.
obviously something people are doing here as
So
well.
you can do it in Cape Town. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, this is inside information. For the same amount of money you get it done in Cape Town, you get like 20% more hair or people or stuff. You get a lot more value if you go to Istanbul.
Oh.
Well, think about it. There's,
And are
there's
these
so much
other
hair.
people's hairs
Probably.
that they're growing in your head?
Probably.
See, I mean, that's almost like an organ.
Wait.
It's almost like an organ
It's
transplant.
completely
isn't it?
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't wait, but don't they take from like the back or like the good side and then they
No,
like click, click,
that
click?
is a procedure. You can take from where it does grow, like
Uh-huh.
towards your back. Like I've got gray hair on my back and my sides. It thins over here.
Mm.
And that's what people do. Talks van der Linde. Because I spent 3 days with Talks at
Oh,
Tiger Canyon once, and he just had it done.
is that Tux with chops or whatever?
Tux
the guy?
with chops,
That's the
yeah.
guy, right?
Talks.
I've seen that the ad for that show. What do they do on that show?
They just
Sit around and talk shit.
Yourselves and stuff.
Like us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, we should get Tux on the show. He'd
Tux
probably
would
be
be-
quite good at that.
Talks would be amazing.
Really?
Fantastic, phenomenal human
And
being.
who is he again?
Ex-rugby player. He was like a big prop.
Okay,
But he's an Afrikaans icon.
Tux with chops.
Talks van der
Will he
Linde.
bring like chops?
Chops. If
Is
you
that his
ask him
thing?
to- if you ask him to, he will.
I'm in. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to do Libang's 100 Rand fucking braai thing.
No,
we
you
can
can
just
acquire Brian here
we
with
just get-
Talks.
Tux will do it for us,
Tux
right?
will pull in.
He'll bring the people and
He'll
that's
sing.
awesome.
He's
And
such
it is.
a-
He's got like beautiful younger women on the show with him sometimes. I mean, in
Probably.
the ad I saw, there were all these young women sitting around with Tux.
Why
I
wouldn't
was
I?
like, I need to know more about this
If I
guy.
was a beautiful young woman, I would just hang out with Talks.
Really? He's a good guy.
He's a
huh?
good guy.
All right. You see,
Okay.
I've learned a lot this morning, Ben. Hair transplants and Tux, and we've learned about the stupid finger thing of Simphiwe's about whether you go bald or not. We've learned about the most beautiful countries, supposedly, the most beautiful people in the country. I mean, this has been a bumper, action-packed hour. I don't know how we're going to top it. Oh, wait. Barry Hilton's next.
Mhm.
All right.
All right,
Stick
guys.
around.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you later, Ben. Have a good weekend.
fantastic
Are you
weekend.
traveling anywhere exciting this weekend?
Sunday, I got to go to Cape Town.
Oh,
Ooh.
nice.
For a
You
few
really
days.
are busy. All right. There's Ben. He's on his way. We will see you in the next couple of minutes with Barry Hilton. I'm very, very excited to have Bazza back on the show. And we're going to talk to him about all the things he's been up to. It's been a little while since we had him on, but it's always good to check in with the great and powerful Barry Hilton up next.
Hi, I'm Barrett Edelstein. Join me for my podcast, Celeb Savant. Today I'm with Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
So right at the moment, I'm at home in London, but after I speak to you, I'm going to pack my bags.
3 of the members of UB40, Earl, Matt, and Jimmy.
Well, we're in the middle of a tour at the moment.
A career retrospective with actors, singers, and entertainment industry experts every Friday morning at 9 o'clock on cliffcentral.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Your love is so sweet, yeah. So put it on me, yeah. Can we take it higher? What do you desire? Let me see that fire, fire, ay, ay, ay. Your love is so sweet, yeah. So put it on me, yeah. Can we take it higher? What do you desire? Let me see that fire, fire, ay. Your love is so sweet, yeah. So put it on me, yeah. Can we take it higher? What do you desire? Let me see that fire, fire. Let me see that fire, fire, fire. You don't need to hide it, hide it, hide it. Knock it till you try it. Got me so excited. What do you desire? Your love is so sweet, so put it on me.
Thomas Anders from Modern Talking knows they exist. Gary Kemp from Spandau Ballet once saw an email from them. Someone who works for Rick Astley liked their Instagram post. And Chesney Hawkes? Well, Chesney Hawkes was just really lovely. That 80s show meets your favorite 80s artists. Hours of interviews right now on cliffcentral.com. It's the biggest collection of nostalgia since you cleaned your childhood bedroom. That 80s show, New episodes every Friday, live or as a podcast on cliffcentral.com.
All right, we are live Friday morning. The weekend is upon us, and cliffcentral.com keeping you company over the long weekend. Monday's not a holiday, but lots of people are going to take it as a holiday anyway. Tuesday is Human Rights Day, so we will be on Monday morning, believe it or not. I'm not taking the day off. Neither is Simphiwe, neither is Ryan. We're all working, but Tuesday we will not be doing a show, just so you know. Put it in your diary or wherever you want to put it, frankly. Okay, it is time now for us to welcome to the show, back again after 30 years of touring, 6 children, 2 ex-wives, a new wife,
Sure.
6 DVDs,
What a life.
2 movies, Las Vegas, John Cleese, Billy Connolly, millions of air miles, and a Lifetime Achiever statue on his mantelpiece. Barry Hilton, the quintessential South African comedy giant, joins us this morning. Look at him. Hello, Bazza. You look spectacular. Look at you.
I do, eh? I didn't want to shave this morning because I thought I wanted to just prove.
Look at you.
I didn't want to shave.
You look great.
I wanted to prove that people with hair can still grow beards.
Barry.
And also, it's nonsense, that say that if you bald, you're virile and all that stuff. Because I've got 6 children, bro. 6.
Yeah. But you're not bald. I mean, you've got.
I can even do this. Check this.
That's phenomenal. Now, that's a real talent. I don't think a lot of people can do that. And you can't. You
know,
can't go to Turkey. You can't go to Turkey and learn that.
Yeah, I was watching a thing the other day with Jacques Kallis. I mean, obviously one of the best batsmen in the world, or the best all-rounder in the whole world. And he was doing an advert about drinking some sort of juice or whatever. And I said to my wife, check this, I'm going to take this stuff. Jacques Kallis could do it because the line was, it puts hair on your chest. And I thought, well, you should actually rather say it puts hair on your head.
Shame. He was quite famously one of the guys who first went for a hair transplant, wasn't he? Or used some. Yeah. Everybody knows that about it. Yeah, sure.
I mean, why
Listen,
not,
if it makes you feel better. So, Barry, first of all, I do want to just talk about this new show that you're doing, because this is really interesting.
It's not a show.
Well, I mean, it's a thought-provoking life in 3D journey. So is this on DVD? How do we get this?
It's live. It's aimed at corporates and stuff like that. And basically what it is, my struggles with depression, dyslexia, and DDHA.
Oh my God. So, I brought you on thinking we would laugh this morning.
No, it is laugh. It's very funny. It's an extremely funny talk that I've done. I was actually talking to a guy yesterday that we tend to get typecast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I've since COVID came along, I realized that the internet is the way to do things, whatever. So one of the things I created was a platform called Cousin Approved, where I take people's product, I write a funny story about their product, and then at the end I go, da-da-da, Gareth Cliff, I'd buy that for my cousin. Okay. So, and it's working for me. I've got a green screen at home and people send me product. I do the review about the stuff that I like, send it to them, and then they sell it on and market it on they market the video at 60 seconds, So when I tell people I've actually written a card game that is for companies to give as a corporate gift. Yeah. And then I tell them that I've got this keynote talk that I do. The first thing 99.9% people say to me is that your real hair? No, and the first thing that 99.9% people say to me, oh wow, do you not get work anymore as a comedian?
Yeah,
I get loads of work as a comedian, but I choose to do something else.
Right, you can't do more than one thing, otherwise it screws with some people's heads. I mean, we talk about the gig economy where, people, especially young people, are able to do like 4 different jobs. Yes. Some of them they do virtually from their home. Some of them they out there on the street hustling, doing whatever they do. But it seems like when you've been really successful at something, and I mean, all of those things I said about you at the beginning, just to remind people.
By the way.
Listen, I mean, it's a phenomenon. I'm sorry, did I say 30? I'm sure it must be wrong. Yeah, no, 40 years. I mean, that is an incredible CV. And as far as comedy goes, and a lot of people who can boast those kinds of accolades. But
yes,
I suppose when you're that successful at one thing, people do think that you're only able to do one thing, right?
without a doubt, without all the time. Every time that's what I say. The first thing I get is, "Oh wow, is comedy not good?" Yes, of course it's good. And you know what else I get? I hear that you're going to go do a tour in England. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they understand you? And I say, well, actually, I speak Polish. So.
But Barry, I mean, I've been around you a couple of times where you and I have had conversations, and we invariably, you and I start complaining about shit, and you are really good at that. Now, I know lots of people think of you and they think this is the funniest guy, and you really are hilarious. Been to some of your shows, and you're bloody fantastic at it. But you also are really good at being a grumpy old man. Like when you complain, I find it hilarious. A lot of people wouldn't, but I've heard you like go on a tirade for like 10 minutes. And to me, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but man, is it hilarious to hear you bitching and moaning about all kinds of things. And you're good at it. I mean, that just flies in the face. It flies in the face of these people who say, for example, you should always be funny. And the ones who come up to you and go, "Hey, Barry, tell us a joke," which is very irritating.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? You can't knock those people because they want to hear a joke or whatever. Here's a funny thing. They they expect me. Oh, there's Barry. I'll talk to somebody about, hey, there's something wrong with my car. I've got a little knock on the left-hand side. I believe it's the ball joint or whatever. And the mechanic's like this.
Waiting for the punchline.
Yeah. I'm saying, no, there is something wrong with my car, dude. Can you fix it, please? So people are like that. But I mean, you can't. I can't be upset about that because that's what people know me for. But we all have to change.
So these 3D, because it's a nice play on word, your life in 3D. But the first one is depression. Now, this doesn't surprise me. It might surprise a lot of people.
Lots of people.
But comedians, Barry, I can't tell you how many comedians we've had. We had David Cow on last week, and he was ranting and raving about the government and saying how shit everything is, which, I mean, I know for a fact he had a really tough time during COVID. I would say 80%. It's become like a running joke on the show that the comedians that we try and get on here, because we want them to make people laugh, come on and unburden themselves and share their.
Cool with it.
No, but there's a relationship between depression and comedy. A lot of comedians are actually very depressed.
Can I just embellish on that? There's a relationship between depression and success. Do you know how many lawyers? Do you know how many lawyers actually kill themselves?
But because we should be happy about that.
No, of course we should be happy. I mean, I got arrested once, and I said to my friend, "Do you know a good criminal lawyer?" And he said, "Is there any other kind?"
But tell me about this relationship between success and depression.
Well, it's success because there I am. I'm on the Sydney Opera House. I filled the Sydney Opera House. I got 2,500 people there. I'm working. I did 2.5 hours, and I'm thinking to myself, "Shit, what am I going to do next year? How am I going to get? Am I going to be as popular next year? Am I going to do this?" And then this little seed of doubt gets put into your head. That's why I think it's important that we always try. We try all the time. Also, footballers, for instance, Gary Speed, he played for Everton, and he was the manager of Wales, and he was doing great. He came home one day and just hung himself. So,
Jesus.
Because and you know what it is? There's a big correlation between success. Here I am successful. Am I still going to be successful next week? Shit, maybe not. And then the depression rots in. That's what Robin Williams, for God's sakes. I mean, who would have thought?
Exactly.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. But Barry, I mean, so you've obviously dealt with this for a long time, and I this is not an ageist thing, but also you're maybe a generation ahead of me, or at least 10, 15 years. I don't know. You're not that much older than me, but the fact is that nobody really. It's become very.
Can I just say, I've got ADHD. That's one of the things I talk about. Okay. I said to my kids this morning, "Do I look 67? They said, "No, Dad." Jeez. But you used to.
Barry,
No, you carry on. It's the ageist thing.
It's generational though. That people never used to talk about their problems. Now all they do is talk about their problems. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have got this special on about mental health, for example. And for someone of your generation, your age, to talk about this is a lot harder than for someone in their 20s. And you probably only figured out that this was something that you had a lot later in life. It wasn't something that was obvious.
Nut house, bro.
You went to the nut house?
I did. I was actually screaming at my wife, Sandy. I couldn't understand what was wrong. My depression would come in these waves, and then I'd be fine for months, and then something would happen and whatever. So I was screaming at Sandy in a restaurant for some obscure reason in the morning. And then I just, in mid-sentence, I said to her, please take me to the doctor. And that evening, I was in a clinic. But I wanted to go because I knew there was something not lacquer about me. So I went there. But I used that as an experience to help me out. And this is a true thing, and I use it in my talk. I go there, and the psychologist says to me, I'm so glad you're here because not many people come in here admitting that they're not well. Okay. So I said to him, how long am I going to stay here? He said about 14 days. And I was like, no, but I can't do 14 days here. Why? He said, because usually 6 to 8 days, people are in denial about their illness. So because I've got ADHD, I said to him, denial. I've already been to Egypt. What's the problem? Can I get a credit? And this guy looked at me and I said, dude, I've come here because I want to get better. And the funniest thing, about a month and a half ago, I was doing a gig and I bumped into this guy. He said, do you remember me? I said, yeah, I actually do. He said, yeah, we were in the clinic together. I said, oh, that's fantastic. He said, please don't mention anything to anybody.
Wow.
And I said, but if you don't talk about it, you're going to get back into the clinic. You're going to get back there.
Do you think that you developed your sense of humor because it was a defense mechanism, or did your sense of humor? I mean, because when people are, it might start at a young age, right? And you're not sure how to fit in. You're not sure how to get girls interested in you, all of that stuff. But it could also be that somehow the mind knows that there's this thing, because it's largely chemical.
Yes.
And you have this depression lurking in the background, and it's there. I mean, everybody knows when they feel a certain way, even if you haven't had a diagnosis. And then you develop these defense mechanisms, these skills that help you to overcome it and present yourself to the world so in some ways, it really was the bedrock of your success.
Without a doubt. One particular thing is, and I talk about it in my keynote talk, my mother had polio. So she was classed as a cripple. And she had this caliper and her leg was like straight. It used to stick out like, whatever. So wherever she sat, her leg was sticking out.
Must have been horrible giving birth. It must have been horrible giving birth to you with one leg stuck out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least she had a bit of a leg up. No, but anyway, so one day I was 13 years old. I will never forget this it was one of the most important parts of my life. Some drunk guy came past my mum and my dad when we were at this beer garden and looked at my father and looked at my mum and said to my dad to his face, seriously? Why would you marry a cripple? And I was like, my mother's crippled?
That's
I didn't know that. But but wait for this. This is the best. My old man destroyed this guy, destroyed him with 5 words. He didn't get violent. He didn't get aggressive. The guy said, why would you marry a cripple? My dad looked at him and said, I don't like walking fast. Boom. The guy was history. There was no comeback from that. There was nothing. And I thought to myself, wow. And then from that day onwards, I used my natural humor to fend off bullshit like that. But then because I was funny, people then say to me, you should be a professional comedian. I thought, what a good idea. That's better than working. So you do that stuff, So humor is a massive, important part of anybody's life, yourselves even. Everybody needs humor in their lives. I just chose to use it to my benefit because I can't remember scripts and things
Well,
like that, because I've got serious ADHD. I really do.
I mean, thank God you did, because we've all benefited from it. So, I
Well,
mean,
thank God.
I'm very grateful for your depression, Barry.
And even, I'll tell you who's benefited from it more was Previn Gordon, the tax act.
Yes,
Just,
yeah, and he has no sense of humor at all.
well, and
so
also
Barry,
he needs to go to that to Jacques Callis's hair clinic as well.
yeah, shame, and probably the depression clinic you went to as well. I just want to talk about this clinic that you went to, because
Yes,
I think it's quite a big deal, and men especially
that's it.
men are reticent to do this stuff because they think it impacts on their strength as the head of the house, or as a provider, or as a father. And, we have a lot of people in this country, old and young, black and white, rich and poor, who are all very concerned about how other people see them. And when you actually have the balls to say to, in your case, your wife or anyone else, I'm going to check myself in here. I'm in trouble. I need some help. What do they do in these clinics? Because most of us don't have any idea. We've heard horrible stories from the 1900s, the early 1900s. They'd put people in straitjackets, they'd shock them, and they'd torture them, and kampstaldraad, and like all sorts of horrible shit. Did they?
Did. I went through some serious shock treatment. They said to me, if you don't come right, your mother-in-law is coming to live with you. So, no, I'm only kidding. So you go to this clinic, okay, and then they have all of these things that you do. The sad part about it is this clinic that I went to have one complete ward for teenage girls who are having serious problems. But anyway, so they'll give you they'll say, the one thing we all sat together and you draw a picture of your life in a human form, okay, and then you've got to stand up with your picture and stand up and say, okay, this is this is that, this is this, okay, and then one of the questions was, draw it as you see it. So there was eyes all over the place, and whatever you do. And the woman said to me, who else do you think went to a clinic like this? I said, Picasso.
But Barry, did they tell you, seriously, did they say to you, stop, just switch off the funny, please? And
no,
take
they
this
actually
seriously?
encouraged it.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
They said to me, this is who you are, be who you are. If you're a tough and rough oak, be that person, but realize that you are also human, and you're allowed to be like that. There's a friend of mine in New Zealand called Mike King. He's a massive comedian. He stopped because of the problem with teenage suicide in New Zealand. You should want to interview him one day. He's really good. Yeah. The Maori culture has the largest teenage suicide rate in the world, and it's because of shut up, suck it up. You're a man. You don't cry, and it's nonsense. If I was talking to you now and I said, shit, Gareth, I've got a bit of problem with my flipping cholesterol, you might go oh, you know what? My mate had cholesterol and he went to the doctor and he took these tablets. It's sweet, man. Don't worry about that. But if I had
there's
to
no
say
shame.
If I had to say to you, I'm having a really bad time with my sort of self-esteem and I'm feeling about depressive and maybe I'm suicidal, then that person you're talking to looks at you like you've got flipping leprosy, and then changes the subject and then goes and talks to somebody else, because it's oh no, you can't talk about being sick. But it's part of, we humans, for God's sakes. Our brains aren't sort of immune from this crap. I'm sure there's times in your life that I know there's times in your life that you got up and you thought, no, I can't do this shit anymore. I'm sick and tired of people hassling me and do this. I bet you there is. I know it is. And then 10 minutes later, the real Gareth Cliff comes out and says, you know what, bugger these oaks, I'm doing it. People, if you tell me that's never happened to you, then I'll be very shocked.
I have been the person you described just now, where you said these people who change the subject and don't want to talk about mental illness and other people's emotional problems. I've been that guy a lot. My friends know, for example, if they're going through relationship shit, I'm not the best friend to talk to because I'm going to make fun of them. And I have, through this show, since you bring it up, I've learned to listen more, and I think I've become better at it. But I genuinely don't know how depression feels, Barry, and I think there are a lot of people. Yeah, I am, but maybe that's also why I'm not as successful as you are. Right?
No, you are.
Let's get successful first.
No, but all right, but I'm I'm interested. Like, did they put you on meds, or did they just give you like therapy and stuff? So, what sort of are you still on meds? I mean, is this something that you think is chronic?
I'm fine now. No, what I did, I was actually taking a huge amount of sleeping tablets. So the psychiatrist said to me, "Listen, this is actually compounding your problem." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes, you need to be on X, Y, and Z." So I said, "Okay, when do I start?" He said, "Well, we'll have to wean you off." And I said, "No, bullshit, man. I'm not here for the long run. I want to get out. I'll stop my meds today." And he said to me, "That's not going to happen." I said, "It is going to happen." And I just stopped taking my sleeping tablets and bullshit that evening. And then I started the next day. And he was like, "Wow, that's flipper." I said, "No, dude, I've come here because I'm not well. I want to get better." So I did that immediately. So and I still have to take meds. I mean, every day I take meds it's a certain balance of meds I take. It's like having cholesterol. You take a tablet, but instead I take a tablet to make me feel that. Here's an example. There I am smashing the Grand West Casino, 4,000 people. 4,000 people, okay?
Amazing.
I get a letter 3 days later from one guy, who said to me, "I was at your show and it was crap." Did you know I locked myself in my bedroom for 3 days?
Jeez, Barry.
And then eventually Sandy came to me and said to me, "Look, Baz, 3,999 people loved what you said." And just like that, I came out of the depression. People say to me, "Is depression a dark place and what's happening?" I said, "Well, it is a very, very dark place, but you can't blame ESCOM for everything."
Barry, there's this brilliant sketch from Harry Enfield where he actually plays the role of a South African pharmacist, a chemist, and he's standing there and he goes, "Prozac, Prozac, Prozac." He's looking for it on the shelf. "Prozac, Prozac. I'm sorry to depress you, Mrs. Beasley, but we're out of Prozac."
I saw that. I like it. Very good. It's very funny.
Okay, depression is one of the Ds, and I think there are way more people who are suffering from this that don't even know about it. So I think it's also really great. No, but hang on. Before we even move on, because you're doing this as a corporate talk as well. So, I mean, every company now has in their HR department the big companies, they all have someone who is busy taking care of wellness, right? And this has become a major thing now because obviously, some people's parents are shit. Some people's home life is shit. Some people's relationships are shit. I mean, it's all really, really tough. And maybe the one place that you can get the help is at work. And if people had to book you for this talk, there might be people in the audience who suddenly realize, "Oh my God, that's what I've got with depression."
A lot of people. I've done 3 so far. I just launched it a week and a half ago, and I've done 3 to test it out and all that stuff. I've got massive response from it, and people come to me and say, "Wow, I needed that." And my response to them is, actually, I needed that because that was part of my depression. Now I'm still going to be good. And the fact that you're laughing at the stuff I'm telling, even though it's very serious, but I made it very, very funny. I said, "You are actually helping me get over my depression all the time, every day." So it's an ongoing thing. Depression doesn't leave you. It's not like, "Oh, you've got a cold and it goes away." Depression is there forever. But
you can't cure it.
No, but you can control it. You find your triggers and you control it. I bought a bicycle, and I've bought quite a few bicycles, but I didn't like this one. I didn't like this one,
please don't talk about your ex-wives like that. That's very rude.
No, that's terrible. Yo. What are you trying to peddle here? So I bought this bicycle, and it was a nice bicycle and everything, like electric bike. And then people say, "Oh, it's cheating," and all that. Then I found this other bike that I found that it's like more of you can enjoy this bicycle. And I love riding this bicycle because it's fun to ride. You can go on the beach, you can do this and that and that. So that is one of my get out of jail free cards. If I'm feeling a little bit shitty, I get on my bicycle and I go and have a ride and I listen to music and I have a jaw. So you got to learn to handle it. And first of all, I know this sounds contradictory. You have to man up to the fact that you have depression.
Yeah.
Say, guys, it's not a big deal. Other than that, I'm a normal oak.
Yeah.
More or less. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, imagine if I was like one of these Ritalin oaks, and I'll be talking to you like this. Hi, Gareth. How are you today? I'm
no,
really
it's not
cool.
good.
No,
Not good. Okay, so I mean, you've got this combo because it's three things. It's the depression, and now you've already mentioned the ADHD. So let's talk about that for a little bit, because I think there are lots of us who also have that. And someone said to me the other day, if they were doing these kinds of diagnoses when I was at school, I would have definitely been put on something, because can't concentrate. I can't concentrate for long. If you want to kill my soul, put me in a meeting for 2 hours. I will die 7 small deaths through the course of that meeting. I'll be looking for every excuse.
I don't think you'd be the only one.
Jesus, to get up, to scream, to run, to look at my phone. Everything distracts me. It's very hard for me to focus. Is that what you're talking about with you?
Yes. When I don't know if you've noticed, I interrupted you 3 or 4 times already. And it's not because I'm rude. No, it's not because I'm rude. It's not because I want to get all the limelight. It's not because I'm arrogant. It's because my mind goes, okay, I understand what you're saying. Next. You understand? It's not that I'm rude. It's next. One of the stories I tell about with ADHD got me into so much trouble in school. And this is a true story. I use it in my speech. The one teacher called me stupid the one time when I was in school. Stupid. And he said to me, I'm going to fail because I'm stupid, and I'm going to stay in this class until I get more brains to be clever to get out. And he said to me, so what do you think about that, Mr. Hilton? And without thinking, bro, I said to him, sir, I've checked the school records, and you've been in this class for 10 years. But it wasn't because I was trying to be arrogant, or it wasn't because I was trying to be. It was just, I thought, but hold on, this oaks teaches it therefore. Why can you tell me this guy? But I'm sure you understand. ADHD is the weirdest. Look, it's brilliant nowadays for my sex life, because 30 seconds you can go watch soccer. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I mean, this is one where you don't have to explain much to me, but maybe for other people's benefit, it's also you can get help for this stuff, but we used to just get claps when I was at if my parents thought I was not paying attention, they'd just give me a clap, and they told the teachers to give me a clap, and it helps to get you focused. I mean, if nothing else, it's a little bit sore for a while. Yeah, I thought so.
I think that if you have ADHD and people are not nice about it, that could lead to depression, because you think, shit, what's wrong with me, Oak? Because don't interrupt me while I'm interrupting you, dude. That's what ADHD is about. So it's not because we are ugly people. Like you said, if you go do it, if you're in a courtroom or whatever, or in a meeting and you're thinking, oh, for God's sakes, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
let's get on to the next subject, please. And exactly what you said now, it's exhausting, because you're thinking, I know what you're talking about. Let's go on. Here's an example. I have this really brilliant young lady who's a PA for me, who I have an absolute hard time with her, because I say, I want you to do this, this, and this. And she says, but we've got to do this, this. And I said to her, I'm telling you exactly what you've just told me now. And she says, didn't tell me that. I said, but I did. You've been there. I talk she talks the very next step. I go the next step, the third step after that. That's what I'm in that space already. That's what ADHD does. Do
you think that this ADHD, because they're still figuring out what some of these conditions are, and Simphiwe, I don't know if you've got any of this depression, ADHD. I mean, everybody's got a little bit of something, because no one's brain is perfectly chemically balanced all the time. And then there's circumstantial stuff that also affects you. If someone dies, or if you have to move house, or something traumatic happens to you, that can seriously throw things out of kilter. But with this ADHD thing, do you think it also has to do, because I'm very, very much interested in certain things, and I can focus on those things, and I'm good at them, and I want to be the best at them, and I'll learn everything I can about them. But the things I don't care about, Barry, I do not give two shits about. You could put that stuff in front of me every day, I'll never develop an interest in it. You could force feed it to me like
one.
Is
We're
that
both
the
in
same
the same
thing?
room.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You know what? My beautiful wife Sandy, we've been married now 15 years. We're having a jewel. She does that side of the business. She tells me 5 or 6 times up to when I'm going to do a gig. And she'll tell me, tomorrow you're doing this and this and this and this. And I'll wake up tomorrow morning and say, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And she'll go like, Betty, I told you. But now she understands me. And here's the funniest thing. You know, when I get on stage, people come to see me and they say, you know what, I saw you 3 weeks ago and your show was about 80 to 90% different than what it was 3 weeks ago. And I'll say, yeah.
Yeah, because you're
And they
bored.
say, how do you do that? I say, because I can't start at A and end at Z. Because when I'm talking about A, I'm thinking, oh shit, what about that? It's in my brain is, you explained it just now. My brain is working about something else. And I think, well, let me just talk about that for a little while and then talk about that for a little. The weirdest thing, when I'm doing my keynote talk, would you believe this? I have to have a little, on my iPad, little notes that come up.
Yeah.
So I can keep the sequence. And people say to me, I don't understand. Your talk was brilliant, but you had to go back to your notes. I said, yeah, because otherwise I would have, we booked here for 45 minutes. We would have been here till the Wednesday, other than that.
Absolutely
so you
right.
understand my pain. You understand. So ADHD is a weird thing. Eh?
So what's the third one? What's the third D?
Dyslexia.
Yeah. Okay. So you really are. You got the trifecta of shit things.
That's why if you read about it, it's depression. It's depression. I say dyslexia and DDHA, not ADHD. So a lot of people go like, but it's spelled wrong, and I go like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So dyslexia is obviously, and you can correct me if I get this wrong, but it's when you're actually left-handed or right-handed or you're ambidextrous, but they force you to do one of those and it confuses the brain. The brain, your left brain is actually controlling the right-hand side of your body and your right brain is controlling the left-hand side of your body. Yeah. But sometimes for some people, the wires get crossed.
Yeah, I'm left-handed. So that means I think with the right brain, which tells me it's the right brain. But anyway, but dyslexia is I read things that are back to front.
Yes.
I'll read something and I could swear I'll read something and it says da 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 da. Okay, cool. And I look back at it and I say, oh shit, it doesn't say that. Actually, it says other things. So
did you struggle with writing at school as well?
Absolutely. The only thing I could do well in school, the weirdest thing, was mathematics and science. And like algebra and stuff like that, because I enjoyed that, like you said, because I immersed myself into that. But the English language and history,
what's on one side of the equal sign is the same as what's on the other side of the equal sign. Doesn't matter which side you start. That's basic algebra, for example. So you like that, but the other subjects, especially with words, and that confused you.
Here's the weirdest thing. I don't read. I've probably read 6 books in my whole life. It's because if it doesn't catch me in the first 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, I'm out. So, but now what I've done now is, you see, there's another thing. There's a way around things in life. I actually voraciously listen to audio books.
Right.
Because it got my attention. Do you know what I'm saying? I can't pick up a book and go read this.
It's almost like you're describing that your ears are better for learning and your eyes are better.
Yes.
Yeah, your eyes let you down when it comes to learning in a conventional sense.
Well,
but
were you I've got glasses, forgot it.
Were you forced to use your right hand even though you were left-handed?
Yes, but I refused.
Oh, good. Because that happened to a lot of people.
My parents were called in and said, this man's from the devil. He loses his left hand. And I just said, no, I won't do it. I just refused completely. I wouldn't do it. Because I said, why must I do it? And then actually, funny enough, I was in a school in the UK at the time. And it went to the head teacher came in and they said, why don't you write with your right hand? I said, because I choose not to. And they said, but can you write with your right hand? I said, yes. And I wrote it because I can do it. And they said, well, why don't you write with your right hand? I said, because my left hand feels better.
Yeah.
So that's
it's like people. It's like people who play golf and they put their left hand over their right or their right hand over their left. I mean, you kick a soccer ball with your dominant leg, and for some people, it feels right. It seems to me like it's not controversial at all, but at one stage it was, right?
Well, absolutely. Do you play golf?
No, no.
I've tried many times to play golf, and clearly I'm left-handed. Okay, but now this is where my ADHD comes in and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The guys, I'll pick up a golf club and I'll put it in my left hand. They say, "Oh my God, you left-handed." And then instead of getting cross about it, I do what my dad did. I say, I'm actually right-handed, but I'm giving you a chance today. And then they go like, "Oh, okay." Instead of getting confrontational about it, I just say, "You're right, yeah, no problem."
So I just want to go through. I want to go through a couple of these comments to just alleviate your depression. So John Bad Dog says, Barry pulled the piss out of me 3 times. The first was at Hunter's Pub in Boksburg in the 90s after I walked in late after smoking a joint outside, and that was exactly what he ripped into me for. So well done on that one.
Share it.
Valerie says, hi, Barry. First time I saw you doing your thing was in the early 90s at the Deelkraal Gold Mine in Carltonville. Wow.
That's deep, eh?
You traveled.
Second time was at Carnival, says John Bad Dog. You picked me out of the crowd, asked where I came from, told him Boksburg, and he was on me for 5 minutes. That's great. So this is so good.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't belittle people. I actually talk to them about it.
But I mean, listen, Boksburg is...
Be careful about
Simphiwe is from the East Rand. So.
I'm from Boksburg.
Well, I left the East Rand because of the crime problem. Really, the police kept on catching me. So.
Lebogang says, a legend in the house. I used to see this great man growing up doing the Savannah ads. Yeah, that was a big deal.
Thank you, Lebogang. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Then a lot of people are just massive fans of yours here. David Sachs says, my dad is the biggest Barry Hilton fan. I'm 35. I've grown up with Barry all my life. Such a legend. Thank you for making my life and my family's life so much better. You'll always be relevant.
That's blooming cool, eh? They asked me, they said to me, are you a legend? I said, well, yeah, maybe just after Toyota. See, that's what happens with my brain. That's how it works, It's just got to make it.
Well, Janet says, Barry, it takes guts to speak out. Thank you. I was diagnosed with ADHD in 2018 after thinking I was stupid for years. Added to my depression and anxiety, I maintain humor is the best medicine.
Without a doubt. You can see she's ADHD because it should have been about a 4-page letter to me, but she got cut full halfway. You know what? I love the fact that you told me that you have ADHD, because there you are. Gareth.
It's never been diagnosed, but I think it is. I think it's what.
Well, I would imagine it is. But the fact that you say you're listening to people and you're thinking, "Get me out of here." If there is a God, please change the subject. You have ADHD, bro. I think so. And well done for admitting it.
Well.
So wait, 17th March, Gareth Cliff officially got diagnosed with.
Well, by Barry Hilton. Barry's my doctor.
By Barry Hilton, yes. Dr. Hilton. Yes.
Anybody has any questions? Speak to Dr. Hilton. He'll sort it out for you. So Barry, let's just check. Simphiwe, you don't have dyslexia or depression or ADHD.
None of that. I am left-handed, so I do, understand some of the challenges that come with being a left-handed.
Well done, Simphiwe. If you're left-handed, do the right thing.
Oh, fuck. So, Barry, do you think South Africa is a country that takes these things seriously enough? Because I did mention earlier that there are lots of, especially in men and traditional black families, Afrikaans families, they're very conservative about this stuff. Even like the Lebs and the Poras and the Jews, they take these things very seriously, and you can't be a real. Yeah. What do you think of that? Because that's a big influence.
I think that the world has changed, we should actually, everybody should move up with the times. You can't still live in the 60s, you know. So it is. I think slowly but surely, the mental health in things coming through, and people are wanting to be who they are. The millennials, they say that they have 4 to 5 careers.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that when I was you become an electrician, and then you work for 47 years to become an electrician, and after that you get a wife, 2.3 kids, a Valiant, and a caravan. That's how life used to be. But nowadays you can chop and change and chop and change. Yeah, but it's the truth, Gareth. Ask your dad.
Valiant and a caravan.
You know what is a Valiant? This young lady was thinking, what the hell is a Valiant? So it was a South African car that if you had to wear khaki shorts or a safari suit to drive it. That was the sort of condition.
So Barry, here's a comment from Carl. He says, Barry played my high school 25 years ago. He was a role model to me. My parents were very concerned about that.
You know what? I thank you very much, Carl. You know, I have 6 children, 7 if you count. We sort of adopted my nephew.
Okay.
It's a long story. But all of my kids, I say to them, dude, do what you do. Don't flip and let anybody else tell you what to do, because my whole life was like that. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You will do this. You will do that, because that's the way it's done. You know, my father-in-law is a great guy, but he's like he lives in flipping the 30s or some shit like that. And he says to me, because Jack goes to a school in Amanus where we live, where they're allowed to express themselves. It's a Montessori school called Generations. Very good.
Oh yeah, they talk to trees and they dance around and they all dress
if Jack
differently.
wants to go do his homework under the tree, he can do it. But they have structures. So my father-in-law, every time he sees Jack, says, you know, really, you need to get this child a haircut. And I said to him, you know what, Basil, there's no correlation between the length of your hair and the ability to do maths. There's nothing. It doesn't work that way, because if your hair's short, it doesn't make you more intelligent. You know, so live with it, dude. It's the you know, so it's a new thing.
What do you think would have been? What do you think would have been different about you if your parents and everyone else around you hadn't told you to shut up and do what they told you? What do you think would have been different, Barry? What might you have done?
I probably still would have been in this field as an entertainer, but I had to endure being an electrician for 10 years because my father said you have to do this. So maybe I might have been in Hollywood. I don't know. But saying that, I'm where I am because this is where I'm supposed to be. That's my philosophy. Things that happens in your life,
and there's no point. There's no point in regrets, right? Because if you're a depressed person, or you're a person who's dealing with depression every day, you can't afford to get swallowed up in could have, would have, should have.
One of my biggest regrets would be that I didn't get myself diagnosed earlier. But I wouldn't have taken tablets, because my ADHD and what I have is actually made, if I may be so bold, it's made Barry Hilton. You know, I'm allowed to be a bit of a loon and all that. They go, it's Barry Hilton, it's fine, no problem. So imagine if I'd have done something else and I'd have taken tabs and it would have been a completely different world. You know, I probably would have been speaking to somebody else today, you know. So it's, I believe all things must pass. Remember George Harrison said that all things must pass. And I believe in his philosophy when he did that, all things must pass. It's like, dude, you have to go through shit to get there. You have to experience life to enjoy life.
And let's not forget, he also he was the one who wrote "Here Comes the Sun."
Absolutely.
And you need to remember
about
that.
5 boys. So.
But I mean, at the same time, it's you have to know that the sun's going to rise and that everything will be okay, because otherwise that depression can swallow you up. I just want to go to something here. Go on.
Yes. No, carry on.
No, Basitsana says something here. I want to hear Simphiwe's comment on this because it might not be so prevalent anymore. But Basitsana says, black people used to think you're left-handed. It was bad luck or evil. My mom forced my brother to be right-handed. Yes, sis, she says. Thank goodness things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
And he's getting out of jail next year.
Is it true?
Oh, yeah, it's very true. It does have a bit of a negative connotation if you say I'm left-handed in the black community. But I think my gran was one lady who handled it very well because she was just like, this is my child and there's nothing wrong with her. And so for me, I kind of grew up in a community that was just like, oh, you left-handed. No, okay. But she had to fight those people to be like, yeah, we're not gonna make you write with your right hand, even when teachers wanted me to. Like I even have like left hand scissors. They really like made sure that I was fully accepted, you know, that get me all the things that I needed for my left hand.
Left-handed scissors.
It was only a couple of hundred years ago. If you said something wrong, somebody would say to you, you're a witch and you're a heretic and they burn you.
Yeah, it's not that long ago. Yeah.
It's not that long ago, you know. It's
I wonder, don't you think sometimes that the people who get distracted easily, the people who might have had ADHD, because it's been a part of being human for probably thousands of years. I mean, there've obviously been successful ones and not so successful ones. But I wonder how many witches they burnt because the people actually were depressed or had ADHD or anxiety or something else. Right?
Yeah. You know how many times people have said to me, you're not right, bro. You're not right. I said, what do you mean I'm not right? No, because how can you talk about 12 different things at once? And I just say, welcome to my world, bro.
Well, Valerie says, Barry, it could have been much worse. You could have become a pole dancer.
Well, do you know what? First of all, I'm not Polish. And second of all, look at me. It would be a bloody big pole.
All right, listen, I want to bring George Meany in here. You've met George before. He's
George,
had you.
Auto Trader.
Yeah, he's had you on the stage at Auto Trader many times, he says here.
Hey, George, how's it, man?
Hey, Barry, how's it going?
Good, man. Listen, I want to buy a Renault 16. What do you think? No.
Ball joints go, Jono. Ball joints go.
Thanks, George. I appreciate your help. George has actually had me a few times, you know. Yeah. 3 of them were over cars. They sold me shit cars. But other than that... No, George, well done, George. I appreciate what you're doing. And George and I mean, we talk to a lot to each other, and he's very cool. So thank you. What is your question, George?
No, Barry, we bring George on every Friday to tell us some stories from the world of cars and the lifestyle of cars and everything else. He goes to all these shows all over the world. So actually, he's here to tell us some stuff. Do you want to hear it?
Absolutely. Can I just quickly leave on a pain in the ass? Somebody said to me the other day, why don't you buy an e-car, an electric car? I said, are you crazy? What happens if there's load shedding? My car's going to stop in the middle of the motorway. And the guy's like, what do you mean? Go, George. It's your time. Ladies and gentlemen, George.
Go on, George.
Auto Trader.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, Barry, I drive one. You know what? I actually almost ran out of battery probably a few months back. But that was my own fault. We were on, I think, stage 7 load shedding or 8 load shedding, on 18 load shedding or something. And I woke up one morning. I had to go to the other side of Boksburg somewhere to, some car dealer. And I had 30% on the battery. I would never have made it there and back. And it was load shedding. So
oh boy.
I'd forgotten to plug the car in overnight. Forgot.
That's a you problem, George. That's a you problem and a your fault.
It's my fault.
You've got to be positive about this, George.
Exactly. But the positivity was I found an area not too far from me, being Boksburg, that wasn't in load shedding, and I managed to get to the fast charger, charged the car for 30 minutes, went on my way.
Look at Simphiwe.
Boksburg to the rescue. Thank you.
Boksburg.
He's
very proud.
All right, George. Joel, well done. What else? What sort of other useless information?
Here's a piece of useless information.
Who said if you were stranded in Boksburg? Not me.
there's a big motoring world, which is a car dealership in the UK, and this gentleman by the name of Graham Mitchell. Nobody knows who Graham Mitchell is, but his name is Graham.
I do.
Mitchell.
He owns Motoring World. I know him.
He decided to do an interview differently. So what kind of interesting interviews have you had if you've gone for job interviews? So what he did was he took the candidates, put them in the back seat of an M5 competition and put a racing driver in the front, put helmets on obviously, and sat next to them and conducted the interview while racing around the racetrack. Wow.
And then he watched them to see if they were reacting badly.
Well, he said it was the perfect opportunity to create a pressurized environment.
And sell toilet paper at the same time.
Well,
exactly.
I actually spoke to someone who is a proper bona fide billionaire in dollars. And he told me that what he used to do.
Is he single?
No, he's very old now. What he used to do is he used to put himself in the passenger seat and then tell the person he was interviewing to drive them to the warehouse or whatever. And he'd watch the way they behave in traffic. If they were anxious and if they were too uptight and if they braked too quickly or if they drove too fast. And then he'd figure out if these are people who can be relied upon or not. You can see it in their driving. This makes a lot of sense too. Yeah.
Well, there was there was an entrepreneur in the United States, a similar story to yours, Gareth. He would take the candidate to the local coffee shop. And there's the story about these two candidates, one highly competent, got all the degrees, and the other one, yes, got the education, not as class straight A student as the other one. And he hired the second one. He hired the second one. And when he was asked, well, why didn't you hire the straight A student? He said, my test at that coffee shop is actually how they treat the waiters.
Very good.
So it doesn't matter what their education, how they're going to treat other people in their job is going to be the deciding factor of their success.
How's this? I did a gig for a friend of mine who runs Pick and Pay in Zimbabwe. And he joined there and he pulled me up there a golf day and he didn't tell anybody who he was. And we spent the day jawling around in this golf cart, talking to these suppliers and whatever. And most of them were okay, but a couple of them were like really, really arrogant towards Malcolm, my mate Malcolm, you know. And I asked him that same thing. Why are you doing this? He says, because I want to see who's who in a zoo. Because when they come into my office next week, they're going to get the biggest fright of their life. And that's what happened. A few of the guys, I know that as they walked in, they realized it was this. And he said, just leave. We're taking your shit off the stuff because you treated me like I was a... So it's the same principle, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Sure.
Good,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there should be a test for how you treat people, because at the end of the day, we're all people in this world trying to be successful. And, if you're going to be a dick, it doesn't matter how clever you are.
Yeah, that's 100% right.
You can't be just a dick. You have to be a dick with a vagina as well. Otherwise, it's not politically. And if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you call me Shirley Simphiwe. Because that's
Is that how you identify?
All right. What else, George?
And then finally, Gareth, what are weird things that you have potentially left inside a car when you've sold it, or maybe you found inside a car when you bought it? So there's one car dealership chain in the UK again. They've got 500 branches, and they have found over 130,000 items per year across their 500 dealerships. So 130,000 items per year.
But what were they?
From wallets to shopping bags to dash cams to charging cables, all the normal stuff. But the worst of them is one day a couple walked in to buy a car, left their child in the car.
Oh, okay.
That they were trading.
Well,
now, the reason they did that wasn't because they didn't like the child or they forgot about the child. Each parent just thought that the other parent had taken the child, and they didn't.
No, that's not true. I think it was because there's a real shortage of orphanages, and the motor dealerships. Yeah, right?
And perhaps they were selling car seats.
People have forgotten dogs in cars, hard-boiled eggs. Imagine finding a hard-boiled egg in a car. What if you don't find the hard-boiled egg in the car?
Yeah, and it
That'll
stays
be a
in.
very bad joke.
Oh my God. He just keeps on coming. All right. Well,
Please
listen,
don't call me that. Barry's close enough.
Barry, we love you. Thank you so much, my friend. And it's been so lovely to have you on here, and thank you for sharing all of this stuff. It's nice to have meaningful conversations on a Friday, but also make us laugh. And George, good to see you. We'll catch up with you next week. Everybody have a happy weekend. We will see you on Monday. Bye.